Everyone you know is capable of betraying you. Not because they are evil, not because they lack character, but because they are human. And the moment you stop understanding this, you become vulnerable to the deepest pain a person can experience. The person closest to you becomes your greatest threat, and you never see it coming. You felt it before, that moment when someone you trusted, someone you believed in, revealed their true nature. The shock wasn't the betrayal itself. The shock was realizing you never actually knew them at all. You knew the version they showed you. You knew the mask. But the person underneath, that stranger was always there, and you were too blind to see it. Here's what most people get wrong about betrayal. They think it's an act of evil. They think there's something fundamentally broken about the person who betrayed them, so they create stories. They tell themselves their betrayer was a liar, a sociopath, a monster. It makes them feel better. It makes the pain feel less random. But this is the comfortable lie we tell ourselves. The truth is far darker and far more useful to understand. Betrayal is not evil. Betrayal is rational. It's what happens when someone's incentives change and your value to them decreases. Niccolo Machiavelli understood this better than almost anyone in history. While everyone else was writing about virtue and loyalty and honor, Machiavelli looked at the world as it actually was, not as people pretended it to be. And what he saw was this: people will betray you the moment it serves them. Not because they're bad people, but because self-preservation is stronger than any oath, because the survival instinct runs deeper than the friendship instinct. Because we are all, at our core, self-interested animals wearing clothes and using words like loyalty and love to hide that reality. But here's where it gets interesting. Most people never see betrayal coming because they don't understand the psychology behind it. They think betrayal is rare. They think it happens to unlucky people. They think bad things only happen to bad people. And so they walk through life, completely exposed, completely unprotected, because they refuse to see human nature clearly. They refuse to accept that the person next to them will betray them if the price is right. Think about how betrayal actually works. It never happens suddenly. It's not like a light switch that flips from loyalty to betrayal. Betrayal is a slow erosion. It starts with a small lie, then another, then a secret kept, then a truth withheld. Each one is small, each one is justified, but together they create distance. They create a gap between who the person is and who you think they are. And in that gap, betrayal happens. The person who betrays you is usually not conscious of their own betrayal. They tell themselves a story that makes it okay. They convince themselves they had no choice. They were protecting themselves. They were being practical. They were choosing the better option. They rationalize. They justify. They rewrite the narrative until, in their own mind, they're the victim. They're the one who was wronged. And so, betrayal never feels like betrayal to them. It feels like survival. This is what Machiavelli grasped about human nature that others missed. People are not good or bad. People are strategic. People calculate. People weigh risks and rewards, and loyalty is just another calculation. If the reward for betrayal is bigger than the cost, people will betray. If the punishment is small enough, people will lie. If they can get away with it, they will. This isn't cynicism. This is clarity, and the person least likely to see this clearly is the person who loves the betrayer. Love clouds judgment. Love makes you believe in exceptions. Love makes you think your person is different. Love makes you overlook the small signs. Love makes you trust when you should be watching. Love is the perfect state for being blindsided. The hidden psychology of betrayal is this: it's not about the betrayed. It's about the incentives of the betrayer. Change the incentives, and you change the behavior. Make loyalty expensive, and watch how quickly people disappear. Make betrayal profitable, and watch how fast people choose the profit. This is not a moral failing. This is human nature, and until you accept this, you will be betrayed again and again, wondering what you did wrong. But here's what's crucial to understand. Accepting human nature is not the same as becoming cynical. Accepting that people will betray you is not the same as pushing everyone away. The wisdom is in the middle. It's in seeing people clearly while still choosing to trust selectively. It's in understanding incentives while still building real connections. It's in protecting yourself while still remaining open. Most people do the opposite. They either trust everyone blindly, which leads to repeated betrayal, or they trust no one, which leads to isolation and paranoia. Neither is the path of wisdom. The path of wisdom is seeing what's actually true about human nature and then building your life accordingly. You keep your circle small. You test people over time. You pay attention to actions, not words. You understand that loyalty, when it exists, is rare and valuable precisely because it goes against human nature. You don't demand it. You don't expect it. You earn it by creating the right incentives. Here's something else most people don't realize about betrayal. Sometimes you are the betrayer. Sometimes you are the person making the calculation. Sometimes you justify a lie to yourself. Sometimes you choose your interest over someone else's. Sometimes you break a promise because keeping it became too costly. And if you can see this clearly, if you can acknowledge this about yourself, then you begin to understand others. You stop being shocked by betrayal because you understand it's not special. It's not rare. It's the default state of human relationships. Most people are just better at hiding it. Machiavelli didn't write about betrayal to make you bitter. He wrote about it to make you powerful. Because the moment you stop being naive about human nature, you become harder to hurt. You stop setting yourself up for disappointment. You stop believing in exceptions. You stop making the same mistakes. You become the person who sees the setup before the fall. The people who get betrayed repeatedly are not unlucky. They are uninformed. They have not learned to read the signs. They have not learned to watch behavior instead of listening to words. They have not learned that people show you who they are if you're willing to see it. They have not learned that the person who will betray you today is always giving you hints about it weeks or months before. You just weren't paying attention. So what's the real lesson here? It's not that everyone will betray you. That's not true. It's that everyone can. It's that circumstances can change anyone's calculation. It's that the person you trust today could be your greatest enemy tomorrow if the incentives shift. And the only protection against this is not isolation. It's clarity. It's the ability to see people as they actually are, not as you wish them to be. It's the strength to watch for the signs. It's the intelligence to understand that betrayal is not a failure of love. It's a success of self-interest. The hardest truth about betrayal is this. Sometimes the person who betrays you is someone you never should have trusted in the first place. You chose to see what you wanted to see. You chose to ignore the red flags. You chose to believe in an exception to human nature. And when the betrayal comes, it's not random. It's the natural consequence of your own blindness. This is where the real wisdom lives. Not in avoiding betrayal entirely, because that's impossible, but in seeing it before it happens. In understanding the incentives of people around you. In recognizing that loyalty is a choice, not a guarantee. In building your life in a way that you don't depend on the goodwill of people whose incentives might change. In surrounding yourself with people whose interests align with yours, not just their words. In testing trust before you give everything. The hidden psychology of betrayal is that it's never really hidden. It's always announcing itself through small actions, through inconsistencies, through moments when someone chooses themselves over you. You just have to be willing to see it. You just have to be willing to accept that human nature is what it is, and then move through the world with eyes wide open. This is the lesson Machiavelli lived and died understanding. It's not cynical, it's survival, and in a world where betrayal is always possible. Survival is its own kind of wisdom. The question is not whether you can avoid betrayal. The question is whether you're willing to see it clearly enough to protect yourself. Everything else is just the price you pay for living. In the world the way it actually is, not the way you wish it to be.